Word. Okay, I'll call this special regional council meeting to order. Please be advised that today's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Can I get a motion, please, to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councillor Dolan, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Petitions, delegations, Poplar Hills Golf and Country Club. Mrs. Schindler, Mr. Bostock, would you like to begin your presentation?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't quite sure. I thought this would be more of a question period, but I guess we submitted our letter. We submitted our budget. Last year was not great, but despite our the COVID measures, we did good, I guess, relatively well for the situation we were put in. We were just lucky to be able to open and provide people in the community a place to go and get outside, I guess. Yeah, we held one tournament last year, which was Oilman's. The rest were kind of put on hold for the time being. Oilman's fell into August, which was kind of the latest time for COVID regulations. So we were able to host that tournament, which brought in some revenue. Membership was about the same, I believe, as it was in 2019. And just kind of looking to maintain going into 2021. Not sure what it will bring us.
So I was noticing that your revenues were about the same. Your membership was about the same, and that was great. I know most of the nonprofits, Historical Society, Phoenix Theatre and Library have been hit very hard through COVID-19, and you've been pretty lucky here as far as hits to your revenue and your membership. So that's really good. I guess you're looking at about the same revenue and same memberships. What you've got budgeted for 2021 will be about the same as 2020. Are you anticipating any other changes?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously it all depends on what happens with what Dr. Bonnie Henry kind of recommends we do. So we have the benefit, unlike the theater and the library, is having a lot more space to deal with. So we can get people on the course and minimize clubhouse activities. So we do have that added advantage, but I don't foresee any major changes. I think with last year, people not traveling kind of helped us quite a bit with getting people to come to the golf course. So I'm hoping more. Well, I'm hoping we can travel this year, but more of the same as far as memberships and rounds of golf played on the course.
Are you anticipating we'll have tournaments this summer then?
Well, I'm not sure at this point. I mean, if it stays as is, I don't think we're allowed larger crowds. I know we were stuck to the last year. We were able to have, I think, 75 on the course and 50 in the clubhouse, including the deck area. So I'm not sure if that's the same or not. I haven't looked, but I'm hoping so.
Okay. Were there any particular steps you took in the previous year here to reduce expenditures at the golf course?
Well, I can let Louise kind of speak to that, as she dealt with most of the staffing, which was where our savings came from last year.
Yes, over previous years, Well, it helps that we did not have as many events, so our staffing numbers were extremely low because we were able to keep our staff to a minimum based on our COVID rules as well. We were not allowed to have many staff members in the clubhouse to start with. So between the staff members in the clubhouse and the staff members on the course, we were able to lower our wages considerably.
Okay. Are there any other questions from councillors? Councillor Gerwin.
So I just wanted to commend you all for keeping the golf, for getting it open and then keeping it open. I think heard nothing but positive things from everybody in the community. People that weren't even golfing would just take a drive out there just to get outside and walk around. So yeah, my hat's off. You guys did a fantastic job from, I even went out there to have a little walk around. So yeah, hats off. I do have a couple of questions. Number one is you say a $30,000 Northern Development Grant, and it says we have a couple projects lined up to benefit from this grant. I'm wondering what the projects are, and also in conjunction with that is why wouldn't you use part of the $30,000 for the cart path maintenance? Because I see that you're asking for capital grant of $15,000 for the cart path maintenance. So yeah, what are the projects and why are you not using part of that $30,000? Or am I reading this wrong because people are looking confused?
Well, I think I can speak to the cart. Go ahead, Louise.
No, I'm just saying, is that a tie thing? Tie question?
Yeah,
Well,
I can speak to that one a little bit. The cart maintenance, as far as I know, because that would be a capital asset, which obviously the town owns. So that 15,000 goes towards increasing or improving, maintaining the asset. Whereas that $30,000 for the NDIT grant is based on developing more business, I believe. And Louise has projects lined up for that.
And can you speak to what those projects would be?
The projects that we're currently working on with NDIT, of course, is the golf simulator project.
Oh, okay.
Are there any other questions, councillors?
Yeah, I have one more.
Councillor Roper first, and then I'll go back to you, Councillor Gerwin.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to commend you guys as well for keeping everything going and giving the community a sense of normalcy that was so needed during this time. I've heard left and right great things. I'm just wondering, I see that your capital reserves are down to zero. I'm just wondering, how did this come to be and how is that impacting your operation, and what steps do you think should be taken if it's an issue to resolve that issue?
I can answer that one. I think our capital reserves have been at zero for, I can't remember the year. A couple of years ago now, we had to come to the town to get money to even pay the bills to finish off the year. I think that was 2018. 2019, they increased. I think we barely broke even. And 2020, we had a really good year and we actually have money in the bank going into 2021, which since I've been treasurer of this hasn't happened. I hope that answers most of your questions. But
I believe in the past, I think there was roughly around 250 that we had set aside that was going towards a new clubhouse, was what it was slated for. And that was kind of in the heyday of the golf course where they were making money and were able to put money aside. And then when the economy slowed down and everything else slowed down, we drew from that as operational budget. And I think that kind of dwindled into nothing. And then we've had to, since I think Ty was right, around 2018, we had to ask for additional funds to keep the operation going.
So the new clubhouse, now that there's no reserves left, where does that project stand? Is that in the foreseeable future?
No, I don't think there's a plan for that. They did the building inspections through the facilities last year with Harvey kind of ran that project, and it sounds like the clubhouse is in better shape than we anticipated. So we're really not looking at replacing in the near future.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Gerwing.
So just, I think a bookkeeping, question. On your 2021 annual budget, under 2020 actuals, it says food and bar sales were $108,849. But on the income statement, it says the food and beverage sales was $109,849. So it's just a difference of $1,000. I'm just wondering if that was just a clerical error or?
Yeah, I think that's on me. I
Okay.
noticed that this morning myself. I'm pretty sure I put an 8 there instead of a 9. Everything
Okay,
else
great.
seems to be.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Okay, hearing none, I will simply thank you, Ms. Schindler, Mr. Andrews, Mr. Bostock, for your presentation today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very well, I'll ask for a temporary adjournment until 12:30. Moved by Councillor Andrews. Second by Councillor Roper. All those in favor? We are adjourned for 15 minutes. Very well. There's Mrs. Mitchell. I'll call this special regional council meeting back to order. Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
would you like to begin your presentation on the Phoenix Theatre?
First, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to declare conflict and remove myself from the conversation.
Very well.
So I will be back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
As much as I've prepared for this, I now feel like I am don't have a clue what I'm doing.
Well, that's okay.
I'm sure I do, but I feel like I don't. So you've all received a copy of our budget and our budget presentation. And we are asking for about $11,400 less in the subsidy than we did last year. And I'm open for questions because I'm not quite sure where you want me to go from here.
Okay, can you give us an idea of the impact that COVID-19 has had on the operations of the Phoenix Theatre?
Good Lord, what hasn't it impacted at the theater? So the first quarter of the year, we remained open and business as usual, and we didn't do too bad. And then, of course, COVID came in, and we were ordered to shut down by the health authorities. We did lose about $164,000 in sales, donations, and revenues from our original 2020 projections. We lost about $8,000 toward our capital improvement contributions. And then we ended up laying off some staff. Of course, Doug Roper, who was acting assistant manager in Jen Thomas's absence, he decided to leave. We did not replace him. And Jen came back to work the middle of September. So we were able to save money on wages that way as well. A couple of people decided to quit and we laid off a couple of people. So then what we had to do was decide how we were going to move forward and remain viable. And then John came up with the idea to do the drive-in. So we received a grant from NDIT to do that. And it was very well received in the community. And we've gotten another grant to complete the second phase of that. That will be done early spring as soon as we can get the shed put in place, I guess, for lack of a better word, that will permanently house our outdoor theater equipment. We did get recovered wages from the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy. We got about $80,000 in wages for that. Our total wages from March to December were $139,000, which we recovered about 58% of that from the SUs. And that left us with that left us with $40,000 to carry through for next year. That gave us a surplus. There's the word for it.
Very well. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions, councillors? Councillor Gerwing.
So I think I just heard you say that you had a $40,000 surplus left over from last year's budget.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why you're not reducing your ask a one-time reduction of that $40,000 surplus.
Well, because when Doug left, there was a period of about 6 months when Doug left, when Jen came back. So there will be more wages that we will need to take into consideration for next year. As well, there is a minimum wage increase slated for BC in June, which will cost us more again on top of last year's wages. We anticipate being able to perhaps go back to some kind of a movie schedule in September. That's what our hope is. And then, of course, I'd have to go through the budget line by line to show you where we need extra money or where we would have to increase our budget from last year, from our actuals to projections for next year.
Okay, thanks.
I hope that answered it sort of, Maureen.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Mrs. Mitchell? Very well. If there are no other questions, I will simply thank Mrs. Mitchell for her presentation today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very well, councillors. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the special regional council meeting. Moved by Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Penny. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you for having me today.